Okay, hey everyone, this is Brian from newprediction.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a Tableau dashboard from scratch. So this is really a beginner's guide. Maybe you've worked with Tableau a little bit but have never created a dashboard. This is exactly how I create a dashboard. So the first thing you want to do is collect your data. Highly recommend you work with something that you have worked with in the past so you can understand or see quickly if there's like a problem with the data. So don't try this on something that's new. Try this with an existing report is what I highly recommend. So as a quick example, and I'll go ahead and add this in the description, a link to this file in the description of the video here. But you can see here we have some pretty basic sales data for a computer store. So we've got our year, month of the sale, the product lineup, and then the number sold, and then sales all across the top. This is the shape that Tableau likes to work in, so you get a feel for this after a while, but some people can kind of get hung up early on because their data is not in the quote unquote right shape. So really tall and skinny is the way that works best in Tableau. Alright, so let's get right in here. And what's great about Tableau is that you can connect directly to a Google Sheet. This works pretty similar in Excel. You can just kind of drop it right in there. But I really enjoy the fact that I can just connect right to Google Sheets and I'm off and running. Okay, so you can see here that your data gets dropped right into Tableau, which is phenomenal. The next thing that we're going to want to do is make sure that our data is exactly how we want it to be. So I can see right off the bat here that Tableau automatically interpreted my year and my month as number figures, which it kind of would make sense, but I don't actually want it as numbers this time. I want this to be a string. You'll kind of see why in a minute, but really it's not a number. It's not like there's 2014 of something that you can count, or like a number sold or sales for like a dollar amount. So you know, that's just something you're going to want to do, and this is a good time to do that to make sure that your data is exactly how you want it to be. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, think about the data that you have, and then we're gonna create some visualizations and combine that data into something that is more meaningful. So now that I know that I'm working with kind of like monthly sales data, a pretty obvious place to go to is in to look at a trended view. So how do our sales stack up over time? So the first thing we're going to need to do is convert the separate month and year columns or fields into a new field that's an actual date. So these are kind of like separate right now. That's a problem. We need to have those two values combined. So we're going to create a new calculated field called sales month, and we're going to use the built-in date parse function, and we're going to go ahead and make this so that's year, month, and then day, and we need to put those into quotes. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just kind of fill in the blank here for our year, and we're going to concatenate a hyphen in there so that it basically matches this exact format. That's what you're doing here. And then you're going to bring in your month. We're going to copy this exact bit of code, and then since we don't have a day column, we can just kind of fill in here with a 01, so it falls on the first day of every month. And you can see that calculation is valid, so this should work. Now if I bring sales month into my rows, you can see that the years fall in there nicely, and if I want to click through, it automatically fills in the quarter and the month, and everything there is good. Alright, notice I had a little typo there in my calculation, so we're going to convert this up to a capital M. Looks like it needs a capital M for that month. And now you can see that we've got all of the months showing up there just exactly as we want them. Let's get rid of the day of sale, and then very quickly we're going to start to see something that's pretty good here. So we're going to bring in our sales so we can actually see the sales. Alright, now already I noticed that I'm going to want this field to be, because this is our sales amount. So let's go ahead and make this a default properties. We're going to number format, and let's go ahead and make this a currency. I always drop the decimal points because it's not really important with this magnitude of the numbers, and that should do it. Let's keep it like that. So now it just makes it look like dollars. You can adjust that if you need to. The other thing I'm going to look at is my number sold. So now we can see the number sold and the sales in a grid. This isn't really any better than Excel, so we're not really at the visualization stage just yet. Okay, one thing that Tableau includes is a little show me button up here. If you're just getting started, I do recommend you can work with this to get something that looks pretty reasonable pretty quickly. But over time, you'll get a little bit more familiar with how things work in Tableau, and you'll rely on this less and less. But it's still kind of good to just kind of see what happens here and how things shift around. So if you didn't notice what happened there, I just clicked on this horizontal bar chart very quickly, and you can see all sorts of stuff happened on the left-hand side of the screen. So if we click on that, you'll see that the measures actually come up here, the things that we are measuring, and the marks card changes from kind of a text down to a bar chart, and you can see that's pretty dramatic what happens here. So that's not really that helpful. Let's go ahead and just kind of keep playing around here with these different show me options, and I kind of like this one, how it's broken out by the different, well, those are by years, so I like the colors, how it's broken out, but I don't really want that by years. Let's go ahead and put our product on that, and now you can see that it shifted around a little bit, so we can see what's happening there. And the other thing is that this is really comparing quarter, really months within a quarter. That's not really a super helpful view, so that's kind of helpful, but let's go ahead and bring year back up in here, just like that. And now you're getting a little bit more of a trended view between the number of sold and sales. So this is pretty good. We have the colors. This is a little bit noisy, so I'm not really sure that I want to include that. And so you can see here that I'm just kind of taking a few minutes to kind of play around with the data and see how it is that I want it to look before I really get started. And some ideas are already kind of formulating. So this is just kind of the early stages of it here. A couple of other things that I noticed is that we've got 3 full years, and then 2017 is a partial year. So this is just all the way through June. So that might kind of affect how we end up showing things in the end. So just something that I hadn't noticed in the data, but you know, kind of is popping out here that it's a short year for the current year. Okay, so this is interesting. What I'm going to do now is, just so I can kind of keep this view here, because I like it split up by months and by the years with these bars up here. I like that a lot. So I'm just going to kind of give this a label, monthly trends, and then I'm actually going to duplicate this so that I can make a few adjustments, because there's one thing I already wanted to do here is if I was to take my numbers sold and the sales, well, that's pretty good, but 2 bar charts isn't great. One thing I'm going to do here is create a dual axis over here. So now that's one on top of the other. That's really ugly, but if I change this to a line, you can see that now we get the monthly sales with the numbers sold and kind of the blue bars, and then the actual sales figures in a line chart. So I think that's pretty good, but it's kind of tall, so I don't necessarily like that all that much. It's not so bad. And in the dashboard, it'll actually shape up a little bit better. I can make this a little bit shorter. So that's pretty good. Not really thrilled with the colors there, so let's change those up. Oops. Let's go ahead and change the colors. So numbers sold, really sales, I always like to put in green, you know, for money. And the number sold maybe in like a gray. That's not so bad. This one, let me see what happens if I take those. Okay, I have to leave those in there, but what I'm going to do now on this one, instead of having these broken out, because I don't like how it's kind of split here, I want to see it a smoother transition from December to January of each month. So what I'm going to do is bring this up, and I right click now, and I come down and I'm going to say we're going to pick the sales month in a continuous way. Get rid of these two, and now you can see that it's one continuous view. So this is a continuous instead of being discrete chunks of data. So just a little bit different way of treating the data, and maybe some cleanup on the labels here. So let's go ahead and format this, and instead of the date that's really long like that, let's go down to, let's do the custom, and we can do the month and the year, the 2-digit year. And let's just do that. So it'll be May. Yeah, that's perfect. And okay, so that's pretty good. And let's see. And make this the default on this number sold. Let's go ahead with gray. And the sales is going to be green. Okay, it didn't change anything there, but we've got that here. So we could change it on the other one if we wanted to. Not sure which view. Do I like it in the bar charts or do I like it in the line chart? I think the line chart so far so good. Okay, so we've got one visualization here, so let's go ahead with monthly trends. Name this one 2. In fact, I'm not really a fan of this one anymore, so I think I'm just going to ditch this one. It's pretty simple to create anyway, so I'm just going to get rid of it rather than kind of keep it hanging around. But I do like this one as a quick one. So the next thing I want to do is another chart. So let's go ahead and duplicate this because it's going to be the same kind of trend. Is instead of just seeing it split out this way, I want to also be able to look at it on the number sold. I do want to see those products broken out. I just think I need to change the colors so you can see the total sales and then the breakout by each of the colors here. So let's go ahead and edit these colors so that they're a little less bright. That's okay. We can get kind of more feedback on that as we go along, and that's definitely an important thing. Is that this is something that is definitely an iterative process. So even if you don't get it right the first time, you can just get feedback and change it really quickly. You see how quickly it is to change those. So don't get too hung up on getting it absolutely right the first time. Like just get something out there and then make it look better. So these are a little bit more earth tone. So not sure if that's going to end up working for the final view, but it's good enough to start with there. Okay, so this is good for a product trends. And I think the third one I want to create is actually just some, we're going to create a new calculated field. And what I want to do here is create my average sales. So if we just take the sales divided by the number sold, we'll get an average sales figure. So let's go ahead and replace that, or let's just see what happens with the sales. So now, okay, the other thing we need to do is you can see that my dollar symbols, those fell off. So I'm going to change the number format to a currency custom. Same deal on that. So now you can see the average. And let's definitely make that a different color because it's something very different than actual sales. So we're going to make this, I think, a blue color. Maybe that teal color, something like that. Bright yellow. So now we have average. So this is going to be called, oh shoot, I forgot to duplicate here. So this is actually going to be my average sales. And the product trends, instead of the average sales, we're just going to bring sales back up there. And you can see how quick and easy, even if you make a mistake, it's easy to kind of revert back. And you can see how quick it is. All right, so in just about 15 minutes, we've connected to our data. We've combined our data together to make some visualizations. We selected a couple of metrics, so we chose some metrics that will make an impact to our end audience. We're kind of thinking ahead down the road what are the kind of questions they might ask. So things like looking at trended data, things like the average sales, the total sales, looking at it by product. So all of those kinds of things are really important. The next thing that we're doing here is we're connecting the dots for our audience by creating visuals that tell a story. So again, we're thinking ahead to combine things that will make sense to our end audience. So the last thing I want to do is actually one more view here, and this is like a KPI view, so kind of a bullet point view, KPIs. And so this is just going to be our average sales, and this is going to be sometimes I just like to do that. So that's our sales, and if we bring in our number sold and our total sales, those are some pretty good metrics right there. So this is going to be a KPI view, so kind of a header for our final dashboard. So we're going to hide the title on that, and we are going to put these across the top, and let's go ahead and format these so they are center aligned, and those are center aligned. Everything's center aligned. This is going to be center aligned. Just kind of going through here, making sure that everything's that way. And then the other thing I'm going to do is increase the size on these so that they're nice and big. This will all kind of make sense in a second here. And let's create this. Instead of it saying sales, we're going to say total sales. And we're going to rearrange these a little bit so that total sales, number sold, average sales. So that's just kind of the math there. So this is just an example. You might find something that's more meaningful for your audience, but for a quick purpose here, these are how I would build out the KPIs. Okay, so now we have got 4 different views. We've got a monthly trend view, some product information, and okay, since these are all kind of looking the same, I do want to try one different view that's not really a trended view, but kind of gives you a snapshot or an overview of all of the different products. So this is the only thing that even looks at products, and that's really hard to visualize. In fact, I probably wouldn't have this because there's really no really good information here. So definitely not a best practice to kind of leave it like this, but for kind of demonstration purposes, kind of putting it in there. So what I'm going to try and do is build out a what they call a bit of a highlight table or a heat map, something along those lines. So let's see if we can't build this out here. Okay, so this is the view that I wanted here. It's called the highlight view. And you can see here that we've got our year broken out by a product, and our sales information there with some coloring in there as well. So this is all looking really good. One thing you notice right off the bat is that 2017 is way lower than the other months, and that's because it's only been half a year. So what I'm going to do, instead of looking at the sum of the sales, we're just going to go ahead and I know we have an average sales over there, but we don't have to do it that way. We can just put an average in here, and then the same thing over here. We're going to look at the average. So now you can see that things are not looking so bad for 2017. This is broken out by the 6 months, so things are looking a little bit better there, and that's a nicer view that gives you a snapshot of each of the products by their month. And we could even expand this one more out and look at some quarterly information. So that is another view that can really highlight outliers across these different dimensions. So we'll take that one too. Okay, so now we have a couple of views. This definitely isn't where I would end, but for kind of demo purposes, hopefully you can kind of see the thought process here. So let's go ahead and create a new dashboard. And so this is going to be our computer sales dashboard. And let's go ahead. The first thing I like to bring in is my KPIs chart, because it's going to be kind of tagged up to the top. Before we do that, let's go ahead and make this a, let's see, maybe this is going to be an A4 landscape, so nice and nice landscape shape. So the other thing I want to do is we're going to fit this so it fills in the entire width, so it stretches across. The next thing I'll do is I will bring in the highlights chart, kind of do the same trick down here, fit the width, and bring this up So we'll kind of shrink this one and bring this in. The thing I'm going to do is going to hide the title on that one. So this goes pretty quickly. Maybe we're going to leave that legend. I'm not sure if we're going to need it at the end. So the next thing I'll do is, I'm not really happy with that product trends. I think what I'll do is, let's look at total sales, but I'm going to remove, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to remove this so you can see it trended out over time. But I'm going to, okay, so I don't really like all those different colors in there, so I'm just going to go to the sheet, and I'm going to get rid of the product detail on that. Okay, so it's just gray. And let's go back to our dashboard, and there you go. So now we have sales. And one other thing that I don't like is that we've got green as average sales and green as total sales, so that could be confusing to our end users. And that's really the another strong point here, is that you want to communicate to your target audience in ways that they're going to understand. So you have to think ahead. If there's any room for them to misinterpret what it is that you're trying to tell them, you want to eliminate that. So you can see here we've got two metrics that could be confused if you're just looking by color. So let's go ahead and edit this one, maybe back to that yellow color. So we go to sheet, and instead of it being this, we're going to say brown. That's a little too much. Something like that. Orange light, there you go. Okay, so back to our dashboard. Now you can see that it's the highlight table is a little more subtle, and this one's a little more strong. Get rid of the title on that one, especially since it's not even talking about trends anymore. Now I think we can safely get rid of the legend. The other thing you can do, which actually I might do on this one, is instead of making it kind of all the way over to the right, let's make this a floating little box. That way you can just kind of bring it down somewhere. We'll kind of figure out where that's going to go, and we're going to hide the title. So that's really obvious. Now we're looking at total sales down here, and maybe this one is going to be average sales. We'll do the same deal here. Hide that. Might need that that total up there. So we'll have to kind of see what we do about that one. We'll leave it over there for now because I'm not exactly sure. So you can see we're just kind of messing around and playing around with it. So one other thing that you want to make sure is that there's nothing confusing on the dashboard. So you can see lots of kind of noise. So I want to clean up some of these lines. So let's go ahead and just start formatting this. And so we're going to come up to lines, and we're going to remove basically all of these dividers. So you can see that one just disappeared. I don't think there was any on that one, so that's pretty easy. So now it's nice and clean. Let's get rid of the header up here. No need to see that. Okay, tighten it up a little bit. Don't want any scroll bars. I think you can safely get rid of that. That's just a container. This average sales, still not sure what I'm going to do with that, but we'll figure it out. Okay, a couple of things here. I think it's pretty safe to say we know what the products are, so I'm going to go ahead and hide that that label there. I do like the quarterly markers in here and the years. I think that's really good, but we don't need this up here. It's pretty obvious that we're looking at monthly sales since we that's or quarterly sales in this scenario. So let's go ahead and hide that as well. Give us a little bit more real estate. Let's make this a little bigger, so give it a little more prominence here. This isn't too bad, and I kind of like it off to the side because I don't really want it to distract. I just want people to be able to see it when they need it. So let's keep this, and yeah, that's not bad. Still got to figure out where that guy's going to go. The other thing, though, I do want to remove some of these lines. I think I want to keep, I'm not exactly sure. This is a little bit of messing around here. So I'd continue to kind of mess around with that one, but that might be a little tricky. And then one last thing I'm going to do here is just to get rid of more of the visual clutter is the so maybe what I'll do here is I'll come over to my sheet. I do want in here a um, this is an average sales, so we can show the title, so it actually makes that a little bit more prominent. And maybe we can do the same thing over here, so we don't need to have a legend. We can just add it as a this is going to be a total sales. So we have both the volume and the dollar amounts. So at this point, I would want to get some feedback from my team. So I'd want to collaborate with my team. And that's one of the best things about Tableau is that it's so quick to change this. This took us about 30 minutes. I'll do some editing here, but right around 30 minutes from start to finish to have something that I could share with my team. So we created this, from this. So you can see that it goes pretty quickly when you get the hang of it and you start to think ahead and think about what it is that you would want to share with your team. So now, in order to actually collaborate with your team, you might want to publish this dashboard. So something I'll do if I've got a Tableau server that I can publish to, I'll go ahead and publish that to like my own personal folder and then share it with them, in like a meeting or something like that. But to do it quickly here, we can actually publish to Tableau Public, and that way you guys can take a look. You can download the workbook and take a look on your own as well. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into the server, and I'll show you how that works. Come in here, and you can save to Tableau Public. Computer, Sales Dashboard. And what's neat is you can actually keep this in sync, so if you make a change in the Google Sheet, then it will automatically show in Tableau Public or on your server here, so that's a really, really neat feature that I'm going to take advantage of here. And you can see here that as soon as everything kind of goes through and gets published, then you have the view in Tableau, and you can share this with your coworkers and impress them and how you took something that looked like this and created in 30 minutes or less, you created something that looked like this. And as I mentioned kind of at the beginning, this is definitely just the beginning of Tableau Dashboards. You can do a ton of other stuff. Be sure to check out the article that is the companion to this video. That's at newprediction.com/Tableau Dashboards, and you're going to see a full write-up on this whole thing that we just reviewed, all of the links to the code examples, the Excel, and also the Tableau Public Workbook here that you're looking at. And then also I've got a bonus materials, really the 6 beginner mistakes that every Tableau developer must avoid. So it's things like avoiding complexity and confusion and all of the stuff that I'm showing you. That way you don't make those beginner mistakes and you have a ton of success. So I hope that you like the video here, and I hope that you like this guide on how to create Tableau dashboards.